I'm Phyllis Tabachnick. I am immediate past chair of Northwestern Hillel. I have been a Federation board member. I am on the national board of BBYO. I'm involved in a lot of different organizations locally and nationally, and a lot of Jewish stuff in there. So I had graduated way back in the 80s, and the first time I touched Northwestern Hillel was when I was back for my 10th reunion, and I was solicited actually to help build the building. And at the time it was the first time I'd ever been asked for a continuum kind of long-term capital campaign gift, and I said yes. And then it was kind of quiet for a while, and I got more involved when Adam Simon was president, or when Adam was executive director. And in meeting him and realizing what was going on and how the student body had really become much more engaged in Hillel than what I had remembered as a student, it was a very exciting time to get on the board. I think when I was a student, Hillel, or at least in my mind, Hillel was much more of a setting for Orthodox students who were looking for a Jewish center on campus, and that there wasn't as much available in terms of both religious or other kinds of programs for someone like me. At one point they started a reform group, but that didn't really appeal to me either, and so other than high holiday services and Pesach, there wasn't a time that I really spent a fair amount of time at Hillel. What I see now that's so exciting is the extent to which students use Hillel programs both in the building and around campus, and may or may not even know that it's actually Hillel. And to me, that's the best way to have Hillel really impact students' lives on campus in a very Jewish way. I always just recommend that they call in and they talk to someone, here. I usually recommend that they start with Michael, but then I'm always willing to take their information and help someone find them also, because if they're asking, or very often if parents are asking, it's very nice to have someone reach out to the student. And generally, if a parent is asking, it's better if a student reaches out to the student, but when the student's asking directly, I think having a relationship with the executive director is a very warm place to start, and very helpful in helping them figure out what they want their Hillel experience to really look like and how involved they want to get and what kinds of things are exciting to them. I think that the strengths right now, the way we work with the university, the way we work with the Jewish Studies program, the way we work with Israel Affairs, the way we clearly aligned with Federation have all been significant strengths that have really helped us to get to where we are right now. I think in the future, as we get more engaged with graduate students, as we possibly look at how other students within the university can become more involved, and I honestly don't even know what those touch points would be, but I think students are starting to think about that, where there are programming areas that could be developed through Hillel that really aren't experienced on campus at all. I think the idea of having speakers that are regular at Hillel that are bringing professional experience and professional expertise and career development is a niche that is very important on the campus in general, and basically not always dealt with elsewhere on campus, and so it's an interesting place for Hillel to be able to stand up. But clearly, the fact that we don't do as much with graduate students and that there are splinter Jewish student groups in the graduate schools really seems like a great opportunity for them to be involved with Hillel and to have them involved through Hillel. It seems to me that helping Jewish students stay Jewish or become more Jewish or really find how Jewish they want to be is a really simple, clear mission, and that is very important to me. It's very exciting. With Hillels of Illinois, where I am now co-chair, I believe that what we've done at Northwestern is doable at other schools, and it's about having the right collection of people and resources, and that is an important part of what I believe the Jewish community needs to do for our Jewish students. That parents aren't always getting the impact they want out of the family decisions they're making, and if we can affect young adults in the decisions they're making about their social life and their religious life and all these other pieces, then we actually have the ability to be very impactful. The other organizations I'm involved with clearly have their own missions that in some way appeal to me. But I really believe that in terms of from now till forever, the Jewish continuity theme, I used to think was all about Jewish camping, and I've kind of decided that in the end, Jewish camping just offsets what is often a bad Hebrew school experience. But that when you get an 18-year-old who's away from home and they decide to do something with Jewish students, whether it's in Hillel or outside of Hillel, then that truly is impactful because they're making adult decisions without necessarily hearing their parents in the background telling them what to do. I recently was asked to speak at Shepherd, which is where I lived when I was a student, at least for the first couple of years. And they were doing an alumni speaking sessions, and I was the first one they found, and so I went into Shepherd, and beer and munchies to us, with actual beer and munchies on every Wednesday night, was pretty commonplace. And when I told the students that, they thought I was crazy. They couldn't imagine that we called it beer and munchies. And I think that those kind of really simple dorm experiences were very significant, because those are those first social times where you're actually on your own and doing things. And I think back, or I see my friends' kids who are now older than that even, and you just realize how young we really were. And at the time we thought we were, old as the hills and wise. Additionally, I think of Northwestern and the whole idea of the traditions around the rock, the traditions around some of the buildings that were very special and significant, and how we all respected and appreciated the Lakeville and what that meant. Those are kind of the warm sensations and visions that I have of Northwestern. And clearly the fact that it was so comfortable to be with faculty, which I guess is another area, kind of going backwards, another area where I think Hillel can develop going forward is relationships with faculty, so that faculty feel as comfortable in the building and in our programs as our students do. Because I think that was always a big part of what made different experiences valid for me, was that there were faculty involved with them, whether that was the School of Education and Social Policy, whether it was Arts and Sciences, whether it was Hillel, that the faculty involvement made a big difference. I think it's twofold. I think there has been a Jewish life on this campus, obviously, even through the time that there was a quota. And I think that's something that people don't understand, that there was Jewish life going on here, even though there was a quota. And when you talk to alums from those years, it was a very different kind of Jewish experience, but it was a Jewish experience. I think that we all need to celebrate the fact that rules and laws and changes have been made that make all campuses, God willing, a little more open, and I think we've been direct beneficiaries of that. But clearly, when you look at Northwestern right now, it is very open and willing, not just accepting, but supportive of Jewish life on campus, all the way from the university president down through Hillel and down to most faculty. I think that it's unfortunate that the times and situations that arise where we see less of that is what the media jumps on. So whenever there's any issue, it becomes something that is considered, all of a sudden people are talking about the quota again, and I don't think that's necessarily valid. But the fact that there's Jewish life on campus, and that we need to remember that even with a quota there was Jewish life on campus, is a real statement about how the university feels about student life in general. I'll give you two. One, when I was a student, because I think in the end, at some level, we actually do provide a campus rabbi. And that although most of our students, I think, don't necessarily take advantage of that, when my friend's father died when we were freshmen, it was truly significantly important to her that she had a place and she had a rabbi, and that there was someone who cared about her. And although it wasn't me, it was my friend, that stays in the back of my mind as we're talking about all the different kinds of programming that we do, and all the different ways we reach out, and all the different kinds of opportunities that we have for students, that we can't lose sight of the fact that there needs to be that religious place also for students that are looking for it. As far as a specific event, I think my last board meeting as president made me feel so very good about what we are collectively all accomplishing here. That we have a very strong board, that we have incredible students, that we have a relationship with the university that is getting better and better. Makes me very proud to have been a part of it, and makes me very grateful that all the stars were aligned in a way that we were able to accomplish what we accomplished, and that is still being put forward now. Additionally, I think another great memory was one of the first times that I spoke to students. It was a women's event a couple years ago, and there are stories I tell multiple times to students in different places and different campuses and high school and college level. And one of the questions that was put back to me was so profound in terms of the impact as I was thinking about it afterwards and in responding to why I had done something in my life and how it had impacted me. And it just reminds me that no matter what we all think we're giving and what the time that we're devoting, you never know when something's going to really affect you in a way that changed how I viewed something in my life that I'm very comfortable with, but that it was a completely different way of looking at it, and it has changed how I tell that story. And I think that's one of those things that when you have an opportunity, especially when you're dealing with students, you never know what comes out of it. And the questions and the thoughtfulness that they come to the table with makes your discussion a continuing educational and emotional experience for the speaker as well as for the students.